لله الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ويوم يعض الظالم على يديه يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا صدق الله العظيم. Honorable ulama, respected elders, beloved brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, our nourisher, our sustainer. Choicest salutations, durood and salawat upon our beloved master Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Let us all take one moment and read one durood upon Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali ashabihi wa barik wa sallim. In the hadith, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has taught us that a person who recites one durood, man salla alayya wahidan, a person who recites one durood upon me, what will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give that person? Sallallahu alayhi ashran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives that person 10 blessings. Not only that, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes 10 sins that a person had in his life, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises that person's status by 10 ranks. So just for reading one durood, so much of blessings and so much reward we get, that 10 times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends blessings upon us, 10 sins are wiped off our account, and our status is raised by 10 times. Now today being this day of Friday, we should all try and increase on our durood and on our salutations upon Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah, we all thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this beautiful deen of Islam. This deen and this religion that we have, it not only teaches us the basics, for example, performing the ibadah and worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but rather this religion of ours, this deen of Islam, teaches us every single aspect of our lives. Be it interacting with people, how we spend our time with our families, how we run our businesses. Every single thing is taught to us in this deen of Islam. And if we look at this deen of Islam that we have, it even goes to that extent of teaching us how to spend our free time and how to spend our holidays. And Islam is not a dry religion, but rather if we have the correct intention and if we do the things correctly, then even this holiday and this break period that we have can be a form of ibadah and worship for us. In Bukhari Sharif, it is mentioned one hadith that there was a Sahabi by the name of Salman al-Farisi radiallahu anhu. He was a very high-ranking Sahabi. He was that same Sahabi who had given the suggestion of digging the trenches in the Battle of Khandaq. Such a great Sahabi he was. On one occasion, he went to visit another Sahabi by the name of Abu Darda radiallahu anhu. So when he went to visit him, Abu Darda had prepared some food, some meals, and brought it forward and told him, Kul fa inni sa'im, that eat because I am fasting. So Salman Farisi, being such a pious and such a high-ranking Sahabi, understood the situation and knew that Abu Darda was keeping a nafil fast. So he told him that, "Oh Abu Darda, I will not eat until you eat with me. I will not partake of any food until you sit with me and eat." So Abu Darda had broken his nafil fast, knowing the rule obviously that a person has to keep the qaza of the nafil fast. He broke the fast and he sat with Salman Farisi to eat. Thereafter, when it became the night, when it was time to rest, to sleep, then Salman Farisi went down to rest, and Abu Darda, he sees Abu Darda going to perform some salah. So he tells Abu Darda that no, come sleep for a while. So Abu Darda, listening to him, being a junior to Salman Farisi, went and started sleeping for a short while. Thereafter he got up again to perform ablution and to perform salah. Again Salman Farisi told him, no, come and sleep. And this happened 3 times. Thereafter, when it was close to the time of Fajr, it was still the time of Tahajjud, then Salman Farisi tells Abu Darda that now go and perform your salah. Now go and make some worship, perform some acts of worship, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is still the evening, it is still night time before the time of Fajr, Subh Sadiq. So now you can still perform some Tahajjud salah. So we told him, and then after encouraging him to perform salah at this time close to the morning period, thereafter he tells him something that is really explains to us the beauty of our religion of Islam. It explains to us the practicality of Islam and how we should all live our lives and how we should all lead our lives. And what is this that Salman Farisi tells Abu Darda radiallahu anhu? He says something, one statement that is very beautiful, and we should all try to practice on this. First he says, Inna li rabbika alayka haq. That your Rabb, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your creator, has a right over you. Meaning we have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever is needed from us, whatever is fard, we should perform our fard salah, we should discharge our zakah, we need to fast in the month of Ramadan, and we should do extra acts of worship as well. Why? Because this is the right that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has upon us. So, inna li rabbika alayka haq, your Rabb, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has a right over you. And then he says, wa inna li nafsika alayka haq, that your soul, your body also has a right over you. Meaning you can't oppress yourself, you can't be fasting every single day in the year, except those days which is haram to fast, we know the days of Eid. And you can't be performing ibadah and worship throughout the entire night, because this will take a toll on your body. A person will not be able to spend every single night of his life, the entire night from Isha Salah right till Fajr in performing Salah and performing acts of worship. So, inna li nafsika alayka haq, your body, your soul also has a right over you. Meaning, do things in moderation. Perform Salah, perform your acts of worship, fast. Obviously, we have to fast in the month of Ramadan. Now we know the month of Rajab has just started, so there's only 2 months left and then Ramadan is starting. So we have to fast in the month of Ramadan. Then we know those sunnah fasts we have to keep, or we should try to keep and encourage others also, like the Ayyamul Bid, the 3 days which are in the middle of every month, 13th, 14th and 15th. These are sunnah to fast on these days. Then every Monday and Thursday also it is sunnah to fast. So we should try and keep these fasts, but we should not go to that extent of fasting every single day of the year. Why? It will take a toll on our body and we can become very ill and very sick because of this. So, وَإِنَّ لِنَفْسِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقٍّ, your body, your soul has a right over you. Then he says, وَإِنَّ لِأَهْلِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقٍّ. Your family, your wife, your children all have a right over you as well. Now if a person is fasting every single day of the year and he is performing salah the entire night, when will that person have a chance to fulfill the rights of his wife? Or to bring his children up in a correct way? Or to spend some quality time with his family? If a person is doing this every single day and night, he will not even get the chance to spend with his family. So وَإِنَّ لِأَهْلِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقٍّ, your family also has a right over you. And then he says, فَأَعْطِي كُلَّ ذِي حَقٍّ حَقَّهُ. Then give every single thing and every person its due right. Whatever needs to be given its right, to give it its right. When it is time to perform salah, when a person needs to do acts of worship, he should be doing it. When a person needs to take rest, when a person needs to relax, a person needs to sleep, then he should do that as well. And when a person needs to spend some time with his family and fulfill the rights of his wife and his children, he should be doing that as well. We know that even bringing up our children correctly, according to the sunnah and according to the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is also a right as a father. So all these rights, فَأَعْطِي كُلَّ ذِي حَقٍّ حَقَّهُ, give everything and every person its due right. And after this, when Salman Farisi had thereafter gone home, this incident had come to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and after hearing this, he says, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Sadaqa Salman." That Salman Farisi has spoken the truth. Meaning, whatever he said, this was 100% correct and 100% true. So this is our religion of Islam, which is so practical. It teaches us every single aspect of our life, be it how we perform salah, how we spend time with our families. Every single part of our life is taught to us in this deen of Islam. Now, if a person has to look at our religion, then what is the primary aspect? What is the main cause for us being created, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sending us to this world? We look in the verse of the Quran, Allah ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That your primary objective in this world, we have only created you so that you may worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ihsaan and Jinnat have only been created for one purpose, and that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is the primary objective of a person's life. Now, sometimes a person might become delusional and begin giving too much of importance to those secondary items or to those secondary things. Let us look at an example. A person has a child who is going to school, and that father or that parent does whatever he needs to do to ensure that his child is getting the correct education. So that father will pay the fees for that school, he will arrange for the uniform to be bought, he will buy the textbooks, and he will send lunch with that child, he will arrange transport. Every aspect of that child going to school will be covered by that father. But what does the father want in return? He just wants that child to be able to study, to learn what needs to be learned, and to get good results. Now, if he has to sit his child down and ask him that, oh my son, or oh my daughter, why are you going to school? What is the reason, what is the objective of you going to school? What the father or what the parent would like to hear would be that I'm going to school to learn, and I'm going to study, I want to get my good results, I want to become something. But if the child has to tell the parent that the only reason I am going to school is for that one excursion that takes place. The one excursion that happens in the year, that is the only reason I'm going to school. So I go to school every day, I sit in the class, whether I listen, whether I don't listen, that's just by the way, but my primary objective is that one excursion. And if perchance that excursion gets cancelled, then I am depressed, I cannot manage. Why? Because the only reason I am going to school is for that excursion. How upset and how displeased would that father or would that parent be with the child? Why he is spending so much of money, so much of time and effort he is trying to put into this child so that he learns, but he is only going for that one excursion. Now let us try and put this example into our lives. That we mentioned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created every person for worship, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we start putting our primary focus on the holidays and those times of the year which we take rest and take break, then we become exactly like that child. And now because of the West and social media, then people are encouraged now that the most important thing in a person's life is the holiday. Why? A person will go for holiday and he will take pictures and he will post it on his social medias and he will try to show people how happy he is and what a good time he has. But most of the time we know personal experiences where the person is not even enjoying himself on that holiday. A person spends so much of time and money and he travels so far going for this holiday, but there is only arguments and fights that are taking place in that holiday, but the people do not know this. Why? He put all the pictures on social media to portray to others that he's having a good time. And this will encourage others, now we must have a holiday that is better than this. We must go to a more extravagant place. And sometimes from January, a person is already planning his holiday in December. The whole year goes and he's planning where he is going to go for holiday, how will he go, with who he will go, how much of money he will start budgeting, he will start saving. Sometimes he even goes to the extent of taking a loan, then he incurs interest, all this haram. Why? Just for that holiday. So we need to understand that our primary objective is not the holidays which come. As we mentioned previously, that yes, if a person goes for holiday and if a person takes a break with the correct intention, following the rules of Sharia, then this will become a blessing for him as well. But this should not become a person's primary objective. Now we know it is that season when it is the holiday time and lots of people are lowering their guard. Lots of people are dropping their guard when it comes to the different laws of Sharia, the different laws of Islam. So inshallah today we will mention a few rules and a few laws which have to be upheld during this time of holiday, which generally a person tends to become relaxed with. The first being good company. A person generally, whilst he is going on holiday, normally when a person is at work, then he is forced to be with a certain group of people, or he is generally with his family. But at the time of holiday, a person chooses to be who he wants to be. So a person will go for holiday with a certain group of people, or a person will go to visit this certain friend or this certain family. Now we need to understand that, are these people I am spending my free time with, are they worthy of being my friends? If you look at the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, Al-mar'u ala dini khalili, that a person will be on the creed and on the religion of his friend. How you see a person, you will judge him according to what company he keeps. If a person is always seen with muttaqi people, God-fearing, Allah-conscious people, then that person will also be regarded to be someone who is pious. But if you see someone who is always sitting with those drunkards and those people who take substance abuse or those fornicators, then what will a person think of you? A person will think that because you are with this company, then you have the same likeness and you have the same qualities. So this company that we keep is very, very important for a person. And there are so many incidents which explain this to us. If we look in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was one person by the name of Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt, and he was a person who was quite prominent, and every now and again he used to have some meals, he used to have a dawah, and he used to invite people to his house. And he would only invite, or he would mostly invite the prominent people, the people who are leaders of their tribes. So once he invited Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam to partake from his meal, and he was not a Muslim at that time. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt that I cannot accept your da'wah, I cannot come and partake from your meal unless you accept Islam. So this person, now in that time it was a thing that if you do not accept a person's da'wah, then it is some form of disgrace and some form of zillah for that person, disgrace. So that person now being in a situation, he accepted Islam, and then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came for his meal and partook from his meal. Thereafter this person, Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt, he had a friend, or a so-called friend. And he goes to his friend, and his friend hears that your friend now, Uqba bin Abi Mu'ayt, had accepted Islam. Now this person was such an evil person, someone who is not worthy of keeping of a friend. And his name was Ubay bin Ka'b. Such an evil, such a wretched person. And now they were friends, so he told him that, see Uqba, I cannot be your friend any longer. Why? Because now you have accepted Islam, now I cannot have anything to do with you. If you want to be my friend, you have to forsake the religion of Islam. So initially Uqba told his friend Ubay bin Ka'b that I only accepted Islam because I wanted Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come for my da'wah and to partake from my meal. But I don't have Islam in my heart. But Ubay bin Ka'b, being that evil person that he was, told him, I do not believe you. The only way I will believe that you are not a Muslim is if you go to the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and na'udhu billah, you spit in his Mubarak face. This is what his so-called friend told him. And now succumbing to this peer pressure, he did not know what to do, and na'udhu billah, he went and committed that act. Allah Ta'ala save us. Such an evil act this person did that he was destroyed in this world, and right until the day of Qiyamah he will face destruction. Now because he succumbed to this peer pressure, because he had evil friends, his result was from becoming a Muslim, from attaining Jannah, now he went to going straight to Jahannam. Why? Just because of that company that he kept. So my beloved brothers, this aspect of keeping good company is so important that generally we think that it's only for children. We have to watch who my children are with, who my kids are with, who my son is playing with, whose house my son goes to. But this is not only for children, it's for adults as well. That sometimes we see a person who is very pious and he is muttaqi and he has some friends, and then he encourages them that let's go for this bayan, or let's go to the ijtima, let's go for this program, let us go out in jamaat, let us go for tabligh, let us go sit in the zikr majlis. that is a good friend. That is a person who we should keep as a friend. When we see that person, then he reminds us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is a person who we need to keep as a friend. But if we look at our close friends today, is there any person who is saying that, come, let us just go to this club, or let us go to this movies, or the cinema, or let us go to the casino for a short while? Then that person is not worthy of our friendship. We need to see who are we keeping as our close friends. In the story mentioned in the Quran, Surah Al-Kahf, Allah Ta'ala speaks about the Ashabul Kahf, the people of the cave. And just a brief, short summary on this, that there were a few youngsters who were in the time of a very tyrant ruler, such an evil ruler, and that ruler had commanded and he forced everyone to worship idols. Such an evil person he was that if he heard anyone was not worshipping idols, he would immediately kill that person. So these few youngsters, all separately, they eventually ended up leaving. They isolated this town that they were in. They alienated themselves and they went out, and they all ended up meeting under one tree. And eventually they began speaking, and they all were there for the same reason, that we do not want to be part of the shirk that is taking place, this where we're worshipping something, or we're worshipping something that is besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do not want to be part of this. So they all went and they gathered, and then because of this, the good company that they kept, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such that now they are mentioned in the Quran. And every Friday, generally a person reads Surah Kahf, we are coming across this incident. And so much so that even the dog that was with these people, these youngsters, it was also blessed because of keeping this good company. Even the dog got the blessing of being mentioned in the Quran. Allah Ta'ala says, وَكَلْبُهُمْ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَاعِهِ بِالْوَصْلِ. Imagine this dog, just a normal animal, but because of keeping this good company, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such that the dog was also mentioned in the Quran. So keeping good company is something that is really, really very important to us. Then another aspect which we tend to become very relaxed with during this holiday time, and in the name of having a good time or having a break, then we completely sacrifice our haya and our modesty. And this is something which is very important to us. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith that al-iman wal-haya qurina jami'an. That iman and haya are two things that are always together. إِذَا رُفِعَ أَحَدُهُمَا رُفِعَ الْآخَرُ. That when one of them is lost, when one of them disappears, then automatically the other one is lost as well. So if a person has to sacrifice his haya, a person has to lower his guard, then it can be possible that Allah Ta'ala protect us, even a person's iman can go. So we should be very, very cautious, and we should really pay so much of attention to this haya that we have. Yet sometimes a person goes to those types of places that a person shouldn't be going to. Now it is the holiday time, there are certain few hot spots where we can say that so much of sin and guna takes place in these places that a person, leave alone going there, a person shouldn't even go close to those places. Like we know, for example, we are from Durban, so the beachfront is such a place where every person, if he has to go there at this busy time, he won't even feel comfortable, he feels so disgusted. On one occasion there was a person who mentioned that he took his small son, 4 or 5 years old, he took him to the beachfront. And while walking, it was this busy time, and there was so much of nudity on the beach. And his son tells the father that, oh my father, Abba, give some money to these aunties. These aunties don't have any clothes on. Give them some money so they can cover themselves. Now we are exposing our small ma'soom children, our sinless children, to such filth and such evil at such a young age. How are we doing as parents? That we need to think that where am I taking my children? No one is saying that it is haram to swim or it is haram to go to the beach. But a person needs to go at those times which are quiet. A person goes at the time after Fajr Salah. But there are not a lot of people. Once it starts getting busy, a person removes himself from there. Or a person goes to some far place or isolated place. Or a person goes to a pool or tidal pool. But no one is saying that it is haram to go to the beach. But when a person goes at the time where so much of evil is taking place, then Allah protect us. It mustn't be that Allah Ta'ala's adab comes on us while we are in that place. So many times we hear that such a place was so full of sin and so full of vice and evil, and Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala destroyed that place. So now there are few hot spots where a person mustn't be found in such a place. If a person goes to that place, then Allah Ta'ala's adab comes, you will also become destroyed. You will also get destroyed. So that is one aspect that we need to pay so much of attention to, and that is how we spend our holiday, whether we lower our guard, whether we sacrifice our haya or not. And so many instances where a person, even if he's meeting with family, but he does not obey the laws of farda, then so much of sin and so much of haram can take place. Sometimes it is detrimental for that family. That once we heard a story that there was a person who went for Umrah with his wife and his younger brother. And they went for Umrah, and when he came back, he notices that now his wife does not want to do anything with him, does not want to have any association with him, does not love him anymore. And eventually she wants a divorce from him. And after being pressurized and forced to give the divorce, eventually he divorced his wife, and immediately after the iddat, she got married to this younger brother. So sometimes we think that no, we are just being relaxed, it is only my sister-in-law, or it is only my cousin, or it is only my auntie, but something so severe and detrimental can happen that this person went for Umrah, he thought he was doing such a great act, but while he was performing tawaf and while he was making ibadah, his wife and his brother were doing other things. So we need to be so strict and so firm with the laws of farda that we can't be sacrificing our haya, we can't be letting our guard down at any time. These are just a few things, inshallah, that we mentioned. Now time has already come to an end, but we should all try to practice on what has been said. Firstly, we mentioned about having good company, that every time a person should see, when he looks at his friends, that is this friend bringing me closer to deen, or is this person pushing me away from deen? And the second point being that aspect of haya, that whenever a person, just to quickly mention, this is said very beautifully, one alim said, that what is the reality of haya? We will end on this inshallah. That the haqiqatul haya, the reality of haya is anna mawlaka la yaraka haythu nahaka. Anna mawlaka la yaraka haythu nahaka. That the reality of haya is that my Rabb Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not see me doing any act which He has prohibited me from doing. That is the reality of haya. So before doing any act, we should think to ourselves that does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command me to do this, or does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibit me from doing this? If we come to the conclusion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded me to do this, then without even any hesitation we should go and do that act. But if on the other hand we see that this act is something which is prohibited in Islam, then we should not even, without any thinking, we should immediately turn away from that act, and we should try our best to never go to that act. Allah Ta'ala grant us all the ability to make amal and practice on whatever has been said. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.